Well, welcome to the Get Off My Lawn podcast number two. Number two.
Two.
This is number two?
This is number two.
Oh.
Yep.
We started this last week. I'm really curious to see how this footage comes out. We have 3 people today. Last week we had 4. Carissa was upset that she was not on screen full on. You called the angles sexist?
Yes.
You found the angles to be sexist.
I found the angles to be very sexist, but when dealing with you, they tend to be sexist. So.
They tend to be... You're accusing me of sexism.
I am accusing you of sexism.
Well, I don't want to be a sexist, so if they were sexist, we're trying to work on it.
Yes.
We got to figure out a way for you to be there, and maybe we stick a camera on the keyboard for next time, and then we point it at your face.
Maybe.
But what I liked, though, is, when you looked at everything on the perspectives, it looked like you could see who you were looking at. It was very natural that you were looking at Steven. You could tell where you were in the room that way. That's why I like doing 2 cameras. I don't think... A lot of people commented to me that they didn't realize it was 2 cameras.
Oh, that's good.
They thought it was 4 or 3, but it was 2 last week. It's the line between the amplifiers that is the... that's what makes it appear to be split screen, but it's not. That's just 1 camera. I think this week the camera's in the frame, though. So, anyway... So who the bleep are you to tell me I'm sexist?
I'm the one that's been stuck with you for, was it 11 years now?
That's right.
Almost 12 years?
That's right.
Yeah.
It has. It's been a long time.
Yep.
And, if we keep doing this podcast, if you eventually leave me, I'm pretty sure that's the moment it goes viral. So
Get a little drama on there.
Get a little drama.
Yeah, it's like reminds me of Mancal Muller back home. Always had stuff like that going on.
Because your parents are still together.
My parents are still together.
John, are your parents still together?
No. They divorced when I was 5.
5?
Yep.
And who the bleep are you?
My name is John Ferguson.
Yeah.
We work across the street, or...
Yeah, I don't really talk about the day jobs. Let's not mention where it is.
Ah.
I would hope that the topics we cover and any opinions expressed, I would hope they align with the company that I work for. But the economic reality is that mine have to align with theirs, and theirs don't have to align with mine.
That's very true.
So we don't talk about that. But yeah, we all have day jobs.
Yes.
And you and I, we work across the street from each other, and we smoke in the same area. That's how I got to know you.
Friendship fostered on tobacco.
Yeah.
Slowly diminishing our life expectancy a little bit.
That's right. And you got a band you're starting?
Yeah.
What's the band? Have you guys found a name for the band?
Yes, we're actually called Comanche Bastard.
Comanche Bastard. That's pretty
Bastard.
good.
Yeah. It's just a one-off name. Doesn't really... It sounds nice. Rolls off the tongue nice.
It has a nice...
But yeah, it's a fun little project. Just we have a practice space going, working out a set for it, just trying to get everything together. So hopefully soon we'll be playing some shows around here. So we'll see.
And just let me know what the shows are, because you're a friend of the label, a friend of the show. So when you have dates, we'll certainly put those dates out for everybody.
Yeah, totally. Thank you, man.
So, Comanche Bastard, do you have any Native Americans in your band?
We actually don't, so that may be a problem. We have a Korean, so I don't know.
I don't think that counts. Maybe somebody in the comments will know that the history of Korea is that they're actually treated the same as the Native Americans.
Yeah, there's got to be some parallel somewhere. We might have a little bit of Native American in my family, maybe. I'm not really sure though. I didn't get free college or anything, so I don't think I would count either. So
yeah, I have my roommate in college grew up on a res. One of these days we'll have to get him on and tell those stories. I don't think he wants to tell those stories.
Probably not.
Honestly, I don't think he will ever be able to talk him into coming on camera. For a guy who's a professional guitarist, you'd think that he'd want to come out and have a chat.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then I'm Donald Moore. I started Get Off My Lawn Records a while back, and I front the Jazz Destroyers. I think last week, having listened to it again, I think there could have been some misunderstanding about the Jazz Destroyers or what the Freeform Fridays project is for. We had that nice discussion on what is Freeform Fridays, the weekly Jazz Destroyers upload. I try to put annotations and cards and things so people can get around easily, but I'm not good at it, so if I screwed that up, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. So that's who we are, and it's Get Off My Lawn Records. We got Bandcamp. I put a link right on the video so everybody knows what it is. And Steven, he couldn't be here. We were supposed to have 4, and then he was like, "Oh, I didn't get your message." Okay.
Well, good thing I'm here.
I think I think this is gonna be twice as good of a show because you're here.
All right, thank you. I'll try and live up to those expectations.
Yeah. So do we want to go into? Let's go into section 2.
Section 2. Okay. What is section 2, dear?
Oh yeah. Section 2 is our news and notes, our tids and bits. We call it "Do You Give a Bleep?" And we try not to curse, but YouTube kind of dictates that we can't curse. And so we did last week, and our story about Ryan Dunn tweeting from Beyond the Grave was deemed uneligible for monetization. It was quite controversial, I assure you. So, do you give a bleep? I don't give a bleep.
No.
But, so what's the first one you got?
Okay, the first one is the Kim Kardashian robbery in Paris.
Oh. Do you give a bleep about this?
I don't give a bleep, but I'm trying to figure out who on earth thinks it's actually a good idea to take $11 million worth of jewelry out of the country. Because you got to fill out all those forms on the airplane and...
And I'd assume in some countries there'd be taxes.
Yeah.
Well, she was also taking pictures of them, too, while she was there, and basically giving away her location and the fact that she had a bunch of jewelry, like millions of dollars worth.
She was disclosing her location?
I think so. Well, I think you can figure it out.
See, what cracked me up was that apparently the concierge reported that the robbers didn't ask for her by name. They asked for the wife of the rapper.
Huh.
Oh, man. It's true. Kanye West is bigger than Kim Kardashian.
Almost definitely.
Like, I don't know. He's like Donald Trump, but thank God he's not running for president.
He said he was going to be running in 2020.
I know.
And I'm pretty... It may happen. We may turn into a mediocrity, which would be really interesting. I'm all for it. I saw the commercial for the debate tomorrow, and it's like it was like a reality show. It was actually pretty funny. It was just like, what's gonna happen next? But it's a little off topic.
No, that's fine. It's tough, right? The politics of it all. Ultimately, when it comes to politics, it's this year especially. It's just such a tough year. So it's never been this polarized. And we all have an opinion on it. And the most important thing to remember is it's an opinion. Right? I can get upset about lies being told and infactual things, but ultimately we do have to respect everybody's opinion, and we're all going to vote, and we're going to find out what happens. And I don't want to hear any of this, it was rigged. You know, I get shouted down when I talk about Bernie Sanders and how the DNC rigged the election against him. There's a lawsuit right now trying to pull it out, right? Mm-hmm. Pull out the exit polls from I think it was California. Mm-hmm. And there was I think it was a newspaper, they had they'd done the exit polls, and then after the election they declined to release them. So there's a lawsuit to make them public record. And if it turns out that there was rigged polling stations, it's gonna be awful.
Well, it won't change too much. I mean, as long as Hillary says she didn't know it happened, then the FBI will drop it.
Right.
I'll just be like, oh, well, she didn't know.
Right.
She didn't know it was against the law to do that, so it's fine. I'm not saying I'm a Trump supporter by any means. I feel like this entire election cycle is akin to two monkeys throwing feces at one another.
Right. I just don't give a bleep about it anymore.
It's pretty much what's going on.
So Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian.
That's, to me, it feels like the big conspiracy of like, oh, look, Kim Kardashian. Look at Kim Kardashian. Let's not look at what's about to happen. But
I'm pretty sure Alex Jones commented on it, and they said it was like ISIS did it or something. There's like some weird Illuminati stuff along with it. Yeah, like I haven't read too far into it, but I just saw it all over like InfoWars and stuff talking about like what happened and who did it, and has some connection to some like, you know, DNC staffer getting murdered and all this stuff. I'm just like, this is too great. It plays out like a soap opera.
It really does play out like a soap opera. I'm familiar with a lot of it, but I don't. Alex Jones isn't my cup of tea. But you know, he's all. The one thing I give Alex Jones is I don't think he's lying to his audience, and I think that's why he has an audience, a very sizable audience. But just like the Young Turks, right, they have very different audiences, but they're honest with their audience, and that's ultimately the only way to do this in this 21st century. So to me, Alex Jones is the Fox News of the internet, but I'm okay with that. We got to have him. He serves a good purpose. And you know what? I'm looking forward to the day when it's really, really when I find out it's really, really all a conspiracy.
I was right.
I'll just be like, yep, you were right, man.
He's right here in Austin. I've had a couple friends who've seen him around. I would lose it if I saw him in public.
I bet he's the nicest guy.
Oh, totally. I bet so too. I
want to go have a beer with him, but I kind of don't, because I don't want to get him a little liquored up, because then it would just come at you all night.
He'd probably sell you on like a water filter and a bunch of vitamin supplements. He's just an enterprising water filter salesman. His whole shtick is the New World Order. He really just wants to sell his water filter.
We're all being played, everybody.
All being played.
All being played. Though, you know what's nice is what we do, I'm very transparent about what I'm trying to sell you, because it's a record label. We just do this for fun. Mm-hmm. Right? So the whole point is to sell records. And we're very marginally successful at it. Yeah. So that's the idea. All right. I don't give a bleep. Do you give a bleep about Kim Kardashian?
I give like a very soft bleep.
Really? Soft bleep.
A very tiny bleep, because I'm kind of interested to see if there's any other stuff that comes out of that, or like who did it, because there's speculation on whether if it was reptilians or ISIS or the Pink Panthers, which I guess is some big jewelry heist group from the Ukraine or something. They say that they may have been involved. It's kind of like a crime story. They may make a movie about it. Who knows?
They'll probably make a movie about it.
So I give a small bleep. They'll make another George Clooney movie where he plays some. that's what's gonna happen.
Ocean's 27.
Yeah.
Get Kim Kardashian's jewels. All right, moving on.
All right. Now we got 2 baby stories.
Why?
Because slow news week.
It really was that's the problem, is we try not to get political, and we just can't help it because there's just nothing going on otherwise in the world.
Pretty much.
All right, what's the first baby story?
Tori Spelling is pregnant with baby number 5. Because, you know, the world needed another Spelling.
Are they going to name this one B?
I don't know what they're naming this one.
B spelling?
They weren't...
Yeah, but when you do the comment, it'd be spelling bee?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. And then the second one is that Ashton Kutcher let it slip that Mila Kunis is having a baby boy.
Wait, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis are together? Is that a thing?
That's a thing.
You're going to have to explain it to him, because I don't know enough about it to tell him.
I thought he was still dating Demi Moore.
No.
He was married to Demi Moore, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. They divorced. He got with Mila Kunis. They had a daughter in 2014-ish.
Wow.
And then they got married in 2015.
I thought Ashton Kutcher just disappeared after...
2.5 Men?
Yeah. Well,
Or that 70s show?
I feel like after that '70s show,
Well,
after
he's
a lot of great stuff.
after
He's got a
Punked,
show on Netflix now, man.
I miss Punked. They need to bring Punked.
Punked
back.
was pretty good.
Punked is a great show.
But then the problem is there's a bunch of guys on YouTube trying to be punked. Like, they're trying to do that for YouTube. And they go terribly, terribly wrong, and people get really hurt. Like, the professionals were good at doing punked, but Ashton Kutcher wasn't doing that by himself with a camcorder. He had a whole team of lawyers behind him, like, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, somebody's going to get hurt if you do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our insurance will not underwrite this if you go do this stunt. Don't do that. Anyway, I don't give a bleep that Tori Spelling's having another kid. Do you give a bleep?
I don't give a bleep. It's a baby. It's 2 babies. Whatever.
No bleeps for either.
No bleeps for either.
No bleeps for either.
All right, what's next?
All right. Next is Hurricane Matthew. Currently a Category 1 off the coast of South Carolina between Charleston and Myrtle Beach.
So they really built that up, didn't they?
They did build it up. I was
did
freaking
build it?
out. I have a buddy who lives in Florida somewhere, but I refuse to Facebook stalk him because he sets his Facebook stuff pretty privately, so I refuse to, like, dig because I try to respect his privacy. He'll publish his address if he wants me to know where he lives. And so I pinged him and I was like, hey, are you okay? Do you need to come out here to Texas and crash on my couch? And he was like, oh, no, so he was safe. Everybody I've talked to in Florida, they've all been safe. But even a hurricane, even a Category 1 does some damage.
Oh, yeah, it's true. But I just, like, then the governor just, like, go on TV and said, you are all going to die. Like, leave now. And then it just kind of chilled out in the ocean for a while and then died down. And now it's just kind of raining a lot.
Well, the tough part is, so when you have, we have these models, and if it had come in as a Category 4, it could have been another Katrina. And so when the when the recommendation from science, when science tells us that it could be potentially life-threatening and they order evacuations, they're acting on the assumption that, yes, everybody will die if we don't get them out. So that's why they do evacuations. So the tough part is, if a butterfly would have flapped its wings or farted in Hong Kong, the hurricane might have stayed a Category 4 and did to Florida what it did to Haiti. And that would suck. Mm-hmm. But they really did hype the crap out of it.
Yeah, I know. I was watching the Weather Channel while I was at work, just a little live stream on YouTube, and just seeing what was going on with it. And at first they said it was going to hit Miami and go all the way up the coast, and then I didn't really hear anything about it. The next day it's like, well, it's not here yet, but it'll be hitting northern Florida, and I'm just like, yeah, it's gonna peter out. I mean, thank goodness.
Thank God. Yeah.
I guess, it's kind of crappy of me, but, I was a little disappointed. I was expecting some big news.
Oh, that's the weird part, right? That's the part of human nature. Like, I want to watch the train wreck.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love Floridians, but it is Florida. Like, it's a big, flat peninsula that doesn't have a very high elevation.
Yep.
It's really, really susceptible to this kind of weather. And
the last big one out there was Andrew, right? In 92. That was a bad one.
Oh, there's been a couple since, I would imagine. Somebody will let us know in the comments. If you're from Florida or if you know the history of hurricanes, tell us go through it since Hurricane Andrew. Has there been any that hit Florida? I'm sure there have.
So I don't remember hearing Andrew might have been 94, because I remember hearing about that.
I was a kid.
I was a child as well.
We lost power for a week, and I grew up just north of New York City. And yeah, we lost power for a week from Hurricane Andrew. One of the wealthiest country in the world, we can't get the power back on in a week. It did a lot of damage.
Yeah. A lot of nasty food.
Yeah.
I was safe in Chicago. Nothing happens there.
Yeah, but Chicago, it gets to be negative 400 or whatever. It gets really cold in Chicago.
Recently, but that's just with the wind chill, really. Because that wind coming off the lake, oof. They call it the hawk. because it feels like it's tearing your face off when you
Oh,
when you
jeez.
when you cross the wrong cross street and it just hits you in the face and you're just like, oh, yeah. It's fun times. I miss it though. It's more of a dry cold up there. It's nice. I went up there last winter and it felt great compared to down here where it's just heavy and rainy and windy and it soaks you to the bone. Oof. I was it was below freezing, but I was out there in, a sweatshirt. It like felt really good because the air was really dry because everything had snowed. It was frozen and crystallized. It's nice.
How many toes did you lose being
Zero.
out there like that?
0 toes.
You
lost.
sure?
Oh.
I haven't counted in a bit. But
Okay.
Probably 0.
I wouldn't recommend going out in 0 degrees in a sweatshirt.
It was
Yeah.
below freezing.
Below freezing?
Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
below 0 degrees Celsius, but that's still it was like 30.
Yeah, I could see that. That's about what we did back up in New York, too.
Yeah.
But New York had a real humid winter. It was a real heavy winter, too.
I mean, as long as it snows, it's not that bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, we give a bleep about Hurricane Andrew, or have we just don't give a bleep anymore? Matthew. Why did they name them?
Well, I think it started because the newscasters were naming them after their ex-girlfriends and wives and stuff as a joke.
Really?
Yeah, that's actually how it started because they were all women's names. And then the first male hurricane was Hurricane Bob in the 70s, something like that. But they started naming them in the 60s after like ex-girlfriends and stuff.
I mean, I've had some exes, but that's
It's pretty mean.
That's pretty mean.
It's pretty mean.
I think we'd call that bullying at this point.
Well, I mean, now it's just we just have the naming convention because also it's easier. They deemed it was easier for people to recognize where they were because you can have 2 simultaneous hurricanes going on at once, and so it's easier to kind of tell them apart if you give them a name. And then I know they retire the names if they're really bad. Like we'll never have another Hurricane Katrina because that's
Right.
gone.
Or Andrew.
Or Andrew is retired.
Or Sandy.
Oh, Sandy. Yeah, that's right.
Hurricane John was the farthest traveling hurricane ever. I
You spent a lot of time on Wikipedia.
I looked that up the other day, yeah. I traveled from, like, Mexico, like, all the way, like, halfway across the Pacific Ocean.
Huh.
Wow.
It was pretty... I didn't hit anything. I did no damage. We just stayed in the ocean and chilled for a bit. It was nice.
I like how you go from I to we, like, as you realize that
That I'm personifying myself as a hurricane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're kind of your personality, you're a bit of a hurricane.
I'm a hurricane roaring through the lives of others. That's... Big book quote.
There you go.
Oh, it's a tornado, but...
Well, okay.
Tornado roaring through the lives of others. It's something in I guess I haven't brought this up yet, but
No.
I am in recovery. I'm a member of the rooms of 12-step fellowships and stuff like that. So that's part of it. It kind of describes the life of a drug addict or alcoholic in their cups as a tornado roaring through the lives of others.
Huh.
So
That's a good descriptor.
yeah.
That is a good descriptor. All right.
All right.
So we all give a bleep.
Let me give a bleep.
I'd say I do. It could still pick up Nicole. Because Hurricane Nicole is right next to it.
There's
still.
another hurricane out there?
Yeah, it's out a little farther in the Atlantic. But they were postulating that once Matthew gets done on his run on the coast, he's going to loop back around and then combine with Nicole and then come back.
Or the wind shear just cancels them both out.
It's
one or the other.
Yeah, one or the other.
That's terrifying. Normal.
Hey.
Why don't you pick up... Well,
Not yet.
all right. What's next?
Next would be Desert Trip. Desert Trip is the luxury 3-day festival held at the Coachella grounds. This is the festival that some people are calling Oldchella because it 3 nights, and it's Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stones, Neil Young, Paul McCartney, The Who, and Roger Waters. Last night was the first night.
That the free love going on at this festival has just got to be not like. I hope there aren't cameras for 50 miles.
I wonder when those shows get out. They're probably done by 7:30, 8.
I mean, they probably. I bet all the food trucks have early bird specials.
Yeah, most likely.
Right.
I gotta say, it's not cheap. You know.
How much is it?
3-day passes. Normal 3-day passes are $399. 3-day passes for the front row pit, $15.99.
Yeah, but I mean, think about how much does South by Southwest cost?
Like 12.
It's a lot. I don't go anywhere near it because it's silly. They're charging all this money. I don't know where the money goes. It doesn't seem to go to anything because they don't pay the musicians and they got a bunch of volunteers working there. So I want nothing to do with South by Southwest.
Well, that's South by. This.
But
do you really think that Keith Richards and Mick Jagger would still be doing this if they weren't making money from it?
I mean, I don't begrudge them going out and making a living. Well, it's just that generation sure does have a whole lot of money off of that Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand how that happened. Why is it where our Social Security is going to get taken away, but they're out there they're tripping to Bob Dylan. So, I don't give a bleep.
No.
Do you give a bleep?
No, not particularly. I mean, it's cool that they're all still playing shows and stuff, but I find it unnecessary at this point. It's old news.
That's a good pun.
Old news.
Do you give a bleep?
I give a bleep only in that if I could afford to be there, I would.
Really?
Yeah, if I could have afforded it, I'd be there with Dad right now. Because Dad would have dug it with me.
I'm terrified of seeing your father on acid.
Oh, he wouldn't have done acid.
I wonder if
Isn't it called Trip?
Yeah, I wonder if they
Yeah, but we're talking
if there's
old
a lot
hippies.
of people out there doing that. That'd be interesting.
Or they're all just out there with they bring out chiropractors and everybody's back gets cracked and they all
Yeah,
they all have flashbacks.
They got like luxury tents and.
Oh jeez, luxury tents. That just makes me want to raise somebody's taxes. What's next?
Okay, our last one. Creepy clowns.
No.
Well, it's just in time for Halloween.
I know.
It's in time for Halloween, and you wanted creepy clowns.
I didn't want creepy
You
clowns.
did.
You
You told
Didn't
me
one
that
get
creepy
arrested in
clowns
Austin?
needed to be
Manor.
a story.
In Manor?
in Manor.
They're here.
Well,
One in Austin too. One in San Marcos. Let's see. We had one guy arrested in. Where was it? We've got Utah. 14-year-old was arrested.
a 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm. In Michigan, they're looking for a clown that robbed patrons and employees at a suburban Detroit hotel on Thursday.
Great.
In Ohio, last week, there was an entire public school system that closed after a clown allegedly attacked and choked a 45-year-old woman and made threats against the school system.
This entire thing started as a viral marketing campaign for the remake of Stephen King's It, which comes out in 2017, and then people thought it would be a funny idea to do the same thing and dress up as clowns and scare people, and now they're taking it too far and getting in trouble.
So, should we hold the marketing company liable?
No, because it's their fault, but it's the people's fault dressing up as clowns. Even when I first heard about it, I just thought, oh, that would be funny. I used to do that kind of stuff back home, sort of getting closer to Halloween. We'd dress up and just wear the white faceless masks and just stand across the street from people's houses, in the dark.
That's almost as bad as this one parent that followed their kid's school bus while wearing a clown mask.
That is great. That's some good parenting. That is the
best dad ever.
That is some good parenting.
At Penn State, they're doing midnight clown hunts.
No, they can't do that though, because what's gonna happen is it's gonna turn into a Juggalo beat fest. They're all just gonna go beat up the Juggalos. Don't do that.
I mean, the Juggalos don't dress as circus clowns, though.
That's
And
true.
I'm
but
pretty sure-
I'm
I'm pretty
pretty
sure
sure
the
the
Most
guys
days
that
out
beat
of
up
the year.
Juggalos are the same guys that are looking for any excuse to beat up Juggalos.
I mean,
I'm
who
pretty
wouldn't
sure
wanna beat
quite
up
a few of the
Juggalo?
Juggalos can
Oh.
hold their own too.
Actually, I take it back. Every Juggalo I've met is very, very, very nice.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
super nice.
I've never met a mean Juggalo. They're all super nice, and like I
they
think,
just don't know how magnets work.
yeah, I think the music is abysmal. I think the culture is gross. I think they're kind of grimy people in general. But every time I see one, I give out a whoop whoop, or ask them if they're down with the clown, and they're just so nice. They're great.
Well, you're closer to that culture than I am. I
Barely. Actually, no,
didn't
isn't
know
it
either
in,
of those.
Isn't the
handshakes.
gathering? The gathering's in Illinois, I think.
Oh, I think
The gathering of the Juggalos. It's in Illinois, not in like the livable part of Illinois, which is Chicagoland, but like the rest of it, the wilds, if you will.
livable
The
part.
livable part.
We should. I'll look up the. I'll put. We should have. That's. I think the gathering. I give as much of a bleep about that as I do the trip.
The gathering's interesting. There's some cool documentaries on it.
Huh.
And they have some like Andrew WK was there, and they have some good stand-up comedy there.
Well, it's an audience full of good people.
We used to
Who
joke
wouldn't
about
wanna be
going
there?
every once in a while, but never actually did.
I bet it's cheaper than that. The Fogey Fest.
The Fogey Fest.
I'm calling it Fogey Fest.
I wonder what the gathering's gonna look like in 20 years.
Oh.
A bunch
Oh,
of old
jeez.
juggalos.
It's gonna look like Fogey Fest. And that's all it is. I mean, it's one generation following their heroes forever.
Yep.
Yep.
Dave Matthews is, if you look at Dave Matthews' video from like 1999, and then look today, it's the same people. They just have less hair and they're a little heavier.
Chicago still isn't forgiving Dave Matthews.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Dumping the feces on the architecture tour. They bring that up on every single boat ride you take through the city. They'll talk about that. They're like, this is the bridge where it happened.
Really,
Mhm.
it was a big deal. He gave a bunch of money to help clean up that river, though.
Yeah, he did.
They felt bad. They didn't.
The
I think
river-
the
the
bus
river is
driver
still
got
dirty.
fired for doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, they really tried to do their best. I remember that.
I feel like
story.
it was Dave personally who did it. He pulled the lever, the poo lever.
All right.
That's how I envision it going down.
Okay.
Moving on. Is that the last of our
That
team?
was the last
Is that the
one.
last of the give you? Do you give a bleeps?
Yes.
I'm done giving a bleep. So, John, you're not part of the label.
I'm not part of the label.
I'm on you when you guys get your thing together, put something together. If it's good, we'll put it out.
Oh,
right?
it'll be good.
Okay.
It's just gonna take a while to get there, but
Well-
it's good.
When you get the demos put together, and then I'll kick your I'll kick your butt into gear, and we'll do it right. And we'll do, when I say right, I don't mean overdubs. Ugh.
Yeah.
You overdub all you want in your home studio, but we'll get it right. We'll commit it to tape, and then we'll do tapes.
Down for that.
Yeah, well, that's when anything I release on cassette, will have been recorded to an analog format. I'm not gonna. Some of these labels out there, they do this thing where they'll record digitally and then pump it out to a cassette and be like, "Yeah, it's analog, everybody." No, if it's analog, it's analog. So we got the big ol' 688. I'll have to show that to you after the podcast.
Yeah, totally. I'd like to see it.
It's in the other room. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's the size of this board.
Wow.
Yeah. And it runs cassette. But it sounds good. So instead of doing the what have you done for the label, right? What have you done for the label this week?
I researched bank accounts.
Yeah, there you go. See, and I put out Freeform Fridays and edited video. It's kind of a slow week. But John here, as he mentioned earlier in the podcast, you've had some addiction in your life.
Most of it, yeah.
And what I thought would be an interesting topic instead would be tell us your crazy heroin stories.
Crazy heroin stories. Honestly, I'm pretty lucky because for me, heroin's a pretty chill drug, so I don't usually go out and do crazy things. But I mean, it does
That's
get
true.
you. It does get you into pretty crazy situations. Obviously, probably at my worst, I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and I, through a series of events, I went out there. I was living in Austin. I went to Austin for treatment, and I fly back out there to be with my my girlfriend. We were in love desperately. And
Desperately
I went
in
out
love.
there, and she took me into her home, and we were going to have a life together and all this stuff until my money ran out. I couldn't buy any more drugs. And then she kicked me out on the street.
Huh.
And so I was actually living in a cave off the side of the road.
Cave.
A cave. I had found my own cave. Yeah.
Was it a naturally occurring cave?
Yes, it
or
was it was a naturally occurring cave.
I guess there are naturally occurring caves
Yeah.
out there.
There's a place. It's called Stony Point Park. It's off of. If any listeners have been to Los Angeles at all, or the Canoga Park area, it's right off the side of the road. It's called Stony Point. It's like a giant collection of boulders, and it's kind of like a mountain sort of thing.
And it's where
But it's a whole
teenagers
bunch of
go
rocks.
and bump naughty bits.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's also just like a lot of, drugs around that area, and people sell out of the mountain. It's a very strange little trade, but there's a series of caves in there.
How do
and
you
can tell
call
some
your
of them
drug
have been
dealer
lived in. You hike up to him.
You hike up? You
yeah.
don't just like yodel at the base of the
you
mountain?
blow a horn. Yeah, there's a whole system. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah. So was that rock bottom? Was that where you found it?
No, actually. Well, I mean, that was a rock bottom for a while. That did propel me through about 3.5 years of sobriety. Recently I did have a slip, which lasted about a year.
A year?
Yeah. A year-long slip. I don't do slips, really. I can't, just with the nature of the illness.
You just fall off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, there's just a lot of things that people don't really understand about addiction, that doctors don't understand about addiction, even to this day. I mean, it's in the book, the DSMV,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the DSMV.
whatever that thing is.
Or,
I
don't know.
As a classified illness, but basically how it works in my life is like what the disease of addiction is it's a two-part thing. The first part is obviously I can't stop and stay stopped. So, even when I try and I get off the drugs and I say I'm never going to do that again, I go through heroin as a really nasty withdrawal. It's not lethal, but you feel like you're dying, but
Okay.
you're actually totally fine. It's like a really bad flu. And then you get off it and you're like, okay, things are great. And then for some reason you just end up doing it again. For me, what it looks like is it's like very out of the blue. It's one day I'll wake up and I will go do some. And it's kind of like you're not really in control at that point.
Huh.
The second piece to it, though, which I also identify with pretty much any drug I do, it's known as a physical allergy, which is actually the really interesting part, because this is where the disease makes me bodily and mentally different from pretty much everyone else.
Okay.
And it's basically once I put drugs in my body or alcohol in my body, I can't control how much I'm going to do after that. So if I were to drink 2 beers right now, that may set me off to the point where I can't say whether I can't drink 2 beers and say I'm going to stop and then stop. There's something that makes you want to do more, and it's a very hard thing to say no to, especially when you're inebriated. So
It's true. It's why I stick to 2. That's my rule. And it's, the places in town, they give you 2 when you play. But, if I drink 2 quickly, it's the same thing. I'll just go right to 10.
yeah, exactly. And I mean, that's the case for a lot of people, but then also, with us, it's like even just like 1 will set it off. Like, I don't see the point in drinking a beer or drinking 2 beers, like it really doesn't make sense to me,
Yeah.
because what I'm doing is I'm not drinking to enjoy the taste or anything. I'm drinking to change the way I feel, because the way I feel right now is super objectionable to me. But then there's times where the allergy doesn't make sense for me. Like, for example, with heroin or opiates and stuff like that, it's possible to do it and not get sick if you space it out over a few days. because you only start to get the withdrawals if you are doing it every day for a long period of time. But if you can space it out right, you shouldn't really feel any withdrawal symptoms. But
I've never met anybody. I've never encountered a single person, not one. And believe me, I know a lot of heroin addicts over the years. It tore through my friends in high school.
There's some people who
Lost
can.
3
There's some
friends in a
people who
year
can
or
do
two.
it like gentlemen. They'll do it. They'll get on a habit, and then they'll kick it and not touch it for a few years, and then they'll do it again. But
I'm not believing that for a minute.
once you get to that point, usually you probably have a problem.
Yeah.
Once you're putting a needle in your arm, you probably have some other issues in there. So
It's true. I'm just not it's an addictive substance. It's not like other illicit drug. Like, not every illicit drug is
as
addictive.
like a physical addiction. To
Right.
It, yeah.
With heroin, there's a physical addiction. Same with cocaine. So, and meth, right? And that's why, I don't love the just say no Nancy Reagan thing, but the not even once does make sense, because it's like not even once, because some of those are so addictive. Yeah, after one, you're like, oh, I gotta have more of that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's definitely my experience with cocaine and stuff like that, which is why I stayed away from uppers, because I got too crazy on those, and like that was bad. But it's so strange with, just kind of how it works with heroin, especially, is it's like, like, honestly, for me, it doesn't even feel good anymore. My last relapse, like, it didn't fix what it used to fix anymore. Like, yeah, I would still feel the effects from it, but I didn't feel any better.
What was it fixing before?
Basically, it's, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but pretty much if we're going from a 12-step standpoint,
Okay.
is that I am always going to be restless and irritable and discontent. This is kind of where it gets into sort of a spiritual kind of sense, but it's because I'm trying to run the show, run the entire world, and I think things need to be a certain way for me to be okay. And when they don't line up like that, I will try and make them that way. And even if they are that way, I still don't feel okay. And this kind of discontent that I feel with my life and the world around me is so great. Something's always off. Something always needs to be fixed. But when I'm on drugs, everything's totally fine. I'm completely at peace in the present moment, totally chill. Everything's great. That's what
You're also not functioning.
Yeah, that's what drugs used to do for me. I mean, I functioned pretty well. I mean, in this last little stint, I did still manage to hold down a job and stuff like that. Luckily,
true.
I got intervened on at a point, before it got too bad. But, there's a lot of people who are functioning addicts, and it's actually pretty surprising.
Well, I know there's a lot of functioning addicts. I don't know that there's a lot of functionally active users.
I mean, eventually it gets to the point where you can't.
Right.
But it's pretty surprising. There's a fair amount of them. So.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to fix that. But thank you for sharing that. That's a pretty
Thank you.
That's
No
a pretty
problem.
interesting outlook, because there's a lot of both of us have certainly had addiction in the families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it tore through my friends.
Mm-hmm.
I stay in touch because it would be awful not to. And these are great people, but this drug tore their lives apart and just put them in a place where digging out of that hole is just brutal. Like,
Yeah.
you've at least been able to find active, gainful employment, but you're also in a city where that can be done.
Yeah, it's very true.
And so it's tough. The other day I got a call, and the last comment was because I helped in what way I could, but I can't help financially, right? But when you call and say my friend's in trouble and she's she's not that far from you, can you help? I go, yeah, here's how I can help. I can give you the number to the battered women's shelter. I can give you the number to the local police department. That's the way I can help, and hopefully it helped.
Yeah.
I have no way of knowing, because I asked him to keep in touch or to keep me posted, and it doesn't. but the last text message I received was, "You're a good man, Charlie Brown." And I always feel like Charlie Brown when it comes to this stuff because they're holding the football,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, I got to take a kick at it because this might be the time, but every time it's pulled away. So.
Yeah, especially when dealing with people in active addiction.
Addiction, yeah.
My mom's a member of kind of the Families Anonymous kind of fellowships and stuff like that. So they're
There's
pretty
a Families Anonymous.
Yeah, basically it's kind of like it's pretty much a support group for if you have an addict member of your family and how to do that. Because there's like a lot, even with friends and stuff, there's a lot of like enabling and stuff that goes on. And honestly, like the best thing to do in most situations is just cut them off. I mean, that's what my parents had to do for me. And that's like probably the only reason why I was able to, come to the conclusion where I need to get out of my current situation is because my parents are just like, we're done.
Done.
We're over it.
Huh.
And I can't speak from my own personal experience, but it seems like an extremely hard thing to do. And it's hard for me to do too, I guess, sort of in personal experience, because I have a lot of friends who've gone out, even in the past couple months, where, you want to help them and you want to try and be there for them, but, they're addicts doing drug addict stuff. Like, they're going to screw you over, they're going to take your money, you're basically going to fund their relapse, and you say, well, I hope things work out, Not a couple of things like that, so.
It's true. I try to keep in contact. I certainly always try to send good vibes and pray, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I've had to cut people off. The worst was then when the contact came back through, but through back channels.
Mm.
So when you feel like I'm being sent a message through somebody else, it's not a good feeling.
No.
Just wish we could solve the problem. I don't know how to solve it. It's just one day at a time. Everybody's just got to do their best.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for me, honestly, like, I never really took too much stock in 12-step fellowships until I came down here and actually learned what it was about. Especially down in Texas, the brand of recovery is just so great out here. It's very out of the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, which was kind of the, the major starter of.
Was Bill W?
Yeah, Bill W. and Dr. Bob and the original members, compiled together the book. And basically, it's the recovery community is super strong down here. I never gave it too much stock because I never wanted to give it a try. But I'm not saying it's the only way out, but it's the only way I've seen work for other people and for myself.
Yeah.
And so that's why I continue to do it.
It's a good point. And there is they have a success rate, and they do measure it. I wish the 12-step programs were more successful, like statistically, but you are dealing with such a complex thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what would even be realistic to ask of. I don't know what the competing theories are and what their success rates are. I don't know any of it.
I mean, even just a few successes, just based on the nature of the disease, is pretty miraculous.
Yeah.
Seeing people that were just really bad off, and you're at this point where you can't stop and stay stopped, and once you start, you can't control how much you take, and it's an endless cycle, and there's no way to break out of it. Seemingly, it's called a hopeless state of mind and body, because you're pretty much on my own power. I'm pretty much screwed. I'm doomed. Like, how I look at it, really, especially with in regards to the diseases, it's not that I can't drink and I can't do drugs again, is that I'm going to eventually, unless I have something else in my life, I have the 12 steps.
Actively work on it.
And you actively work on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Actively try and maintain a connection to a higher power, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to get too, into that.
Though I will say
some
this.
heady stuff, but
there's a lot of people out there who've been in similar situations, so hopefully where you are now and your state of mind, especially if they're not quite there yet, hopefully something will click and help them get through to the next part of their journey. We find that with musicians a lot, where, like, I talk to a lot of guys that are have been at it a lot longer than me. And yeah, it doesn't. You can't always take all of it in because you have no frame of reference of the future, right? And if they're speaking to things from the future perspective, it's tough. But hopefully it helps. So, but what's interesting is we have the internet now. So I would like to actually hear the stories of addiction in the comments. That would be pretty interesting stuff, right? And if we all keep it civil, we all keep it positive. You know, if you've been affected by it, or if you've struggled with it yourself, and you just want to lay it out there in a semi-anonymous way, like, you know, if you specifically don't, well, like, I don't think we would, that would be too complex to put in next week's episode, for example. So
Yeah.
we won't be able to do that. But yeah, I want to hear the stories. Thanks for sharing that.
Hey, no problem, man.
So let's go on to the next section here. We got our label goals and announcements, right? This is just what we're working on this week, what we're working on over the next month, and then 2017, right? So this week we figured out the bank. We kind of have an understanding on the banking stuff. We're gonna so now we're gonna move over. We're gonna start working on the website.
Okay.
And then this month, I'm gonna try to finish the Korg Volca album, which is a solo album I'm doing with these. If you want to grab one of these boxes here, this is an example. This is a Volca FM, and I have all of them. And a lot of guys on YouTube are doing like really interesting stuff with this, with these. But I'm just making an album with them. I don't have the latest one, the Volca Kick. I'm looking forward to that one. It does come out right around my birthday.
Does it?
Hint, hint. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Okay.
So, eventually I'll do something about them, but we're going to do our, for the 2017 stuff, we've got the MC Overlord thing, we got our Making of the Freeform Fridays thing. I'm hoping in 2017, Comanche Bastards.
Comanche Bastards singular.
Comanche Bastards singular.
Yes.
I'm hoping they've got enough material together that's strong and are ready so we can put that out. My real goal for 2017 is I want to put out 12. I want to do 12 releases for 2017. That's a big goal.
One release a month?
One release a month because, as I was telling John earlier, the idea is when I put something out and say it's a punk rock album, right? It's not everything on the label is punk rock. We're not a punk rock label. We're just a good music label. So I just assume, the way I look at it is the people who are buying our stuff just like good music. So maybe they find out, they're checking out the punk rock album, but then there's all the other stuff from all the other guys. So then when I release an electronic album, there's a lot of people that like electronic and punk. There's a lot of people that like punk and jazz. And just try to make good music. That's the idea, right? So we're doing the 2017 stuff, but eventually, yeah, I'll do with the Korg Volcas. We'll do a little expose. I also want to do a reflections on 2016 for the Freeform Fridays. We'll do like a mini documentary. We're going to interview everybody.
Okay.
So, because we had a lot of people involved, it'll just be fun to sit them all down for 10 minutes and get their thoughts on it. Plus, we have the first podcast where I kind of talked about what the project is. And yeah. So that's enough of my announcements and goal. So with the goals though, right now we're at 31 subscribers. So way to go, guys.
Alrighty.
Right? 31 subscribers in 1 week. If we keep that up, we'll be PewDiePie in no time. I'm not PewDiePie, right? I'm just a guy trying to make good music. But 31 subscribers, I mentioned last week I'd like to get it up to 100. I think let's keep with that goal for now.
Okay.
Let's see how fast we can get it to 100. And there's the Facebook page. Though I don't love Facebook for everything. That's why I have Twitter. And that's why I put that stuff up, and I don't really put the Facebook stuff up because Facebook's always trying to get me to buy ads.
Yes.
And what I love about YouTube is they'll show the videos to people without you buying the ads. So I'm kind of focusing more on the YouTube community and all the YouTubers. I'd like to get some cool YouTubers on. That would be an interesting goal. We're working out the Skype stuff because Greg is moving to Mattoon, not too far from your hometown. Home of the original Burger King.
Yeah, I do remember that. That's what that's about. I don't think I ever went there. I've probably driven past it.
Yeah, it's apparently has nothing to do with the chain Burger King. They were just an independent entity, and they've just always been there. It's a pretty cool story. There's a whole Wikipedia page on it.
Good old Mattoon. I think I was out there. I was out there for something, probably like a marching band competition or something like that.
Oh yeah, you did marching band?
Oh heck yes.
Yeah. What'd you play?
Trombone.
Me too.
Trombone all day.
So did she.
Nice.
It's a room full of trombone players. I got
There you
3
go.
horns in the other room. Maybe we should do a podcast where we just communicate in trombone.
I'm totally
God.
fine with that.
I'm pretty sure the internet would not be.
No.
Only if we put GoPros on the slides. It's
Maybe.
that thing went viral, didn't it? There's some trombonists who put a GoPro on the slide and did a.
That sounds like something Maniacal 4 would do. Have you seen Maniacal 4?
No, I have not.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're a trombone quartet. And they're great. They're just really good musicians.
No, trombones were the best. We were the bad boys of the marching band.
Did you have to do suicides?
No, we didn't. I don't think so.
So you go down, you go up, you turn,
Oh yeah.
right? And
Jeez.
if somebody's off
You get hit in the face.
and the
We had to do
trombone
that.
gets broken,
We did that my last year. Yeah, we did that in one of our
Jeez.
shows. Because we all lined up in the very middle. I forget where we were playing. It was fun though.
my high school actively, before I got to high school, my high school band director actively destroyed the marching band program.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we just had a really, really happening jazz band. We did competition stuff. I actually found a tape that we did, like one of our performances, and I was listening to it. I was like, oh, that's me on trombone, playing that note loudly and badly. But
Yeah, that's what mine was too.
Are we really there already?
Yeah, apparently.
All right. Moving on. What's next? Shout-outs. All right. So let's do the plugs and shout-outs. The plugs are the Jazz Destroyers. I'll put an annotation up.
Mm-hmm.
And the It's a Secret to Nobody, which is already up.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Get Off My Lawn Records, you can check both of those out. But you also want to go subscribe to the Jazz Destroyers channel if you haven't. And then I guess those are my plugs. And Jesse Thunderwake. We have to plug Thunderwake on every one of these. Because we lost so much money doing that one.
Yep.
There's so much. Did you watch that? I sent you the video.
I haven't gotten a chance to watch the whole thing yet, but
You watched some of it?
yeah, a little bit.
What'd you think of it?
It's fun.
It's
I
pretty
like it.
fun, right?
Yeah.
It's actually better the second time through. So you got to actually suffer through it once and then go watch it a second time, and then you understand everything.
Okay.
I don't think that's a good promotion, dear.
It's an honest promotion.
It's like it sucks the first time, but the second time's okay.
There's a lot of movies like
No,
that.
it's not that the second time's okay. It's that the second time's actually funny. A lot of the jokes are very in, and you have to really understand the character before you understand why that's funny in the beginning.
True.
So, but for my shout-outs, I want to shout out Rerez Shane up in Canada. He was streaming Journey on the PS4. It was, I guess, a free PS Network game or whatever. And he was live streaming it, and we had a good chat.
Nice.
He
Cool.
does a nice job with that, where he chit-chats with everybody, and it's his... I have mixed feelings. His channel's doing all right, but like when he does a live stream, it's not like you can't get a word in. Like he can actually respond to everybody. It's pretty cool. It's a great thing to do with the internet. I should do. Yeah. I guess people should leave a comment if they want Get Off My Lawn Records to do some live streaming stuff like that. I don't know that anybody wants to hang out with me while I play video games, but I do have a Nintendo.
Hey, that's
And occasionally you live stream on Facebook.
I did. I beat Duck Hunt.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
It's a feat.
I
You
live
should start
streamed
doing
it.
speed runs.
Okay.
Speed runs of Duck Hunt.
The problem is I have a career, and I really have two careers, right? Because I have my whole music thing, but we still have day jobs.
Yeah.
So I can beat duck hunt because I've been able to beat duck hunt since I was about 19, when I had the time to go practice. And yeah, when it rolls over, it just rolls over to 1, or rolls over to round 0, and then it glitches out at the end of that round.
Okay.
Fun fact.
Yeah, so re-res. I also want to give a shout out to Escape from Ignorance,
Yes.
right? Friend of the label. He actually records here. There's no money involved, so we just want to help get that in audience. I don't always agree with the content, but he really puts a lot of work into it, and I agree with a lot of the content.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not disclosing which I agree with and don't agree with. I just want to be able to admit that I don't agree with all of it.
Okay.
And then the third one is I want to give a shout out to MC Overlord. We didn't really shout him out last week, and we should have.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do that record with him. It's going to be great, but he's doing all sorts of great stuff right now, and he's got all this great stuff out there already.
Yep.
And he was walking us through the history of it, because he's been at it since like the mid-90s, he told me.
Something like that, yeah.
Right? And so he actually got really big at one point, and then the way the music industry goes, the audience is very fickle.
Yeah.
But that stuff is really good, and and being familiar with that material, when we release the MC Overlord album, it'll be a great context for look at how far he's come.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, he was famous and not great. Now he's great. And so it's going to be even better.
Yep.
All right, John, other than Comanche Bastard, you got to plug that. You have any other plugs?
I got none off the top of my head, man.
How about shout-outs? Got to do 3 shout-outs.
I have to do 3 shout-outs?
Yeah, 3 shout-outs.
I'd like to shout out to my mom.
Okay.
I love my mom.
I love my mom, too.
My mom is a great lady. I'd like to shout out to, let's see. I shouldn't be mentioning any recovery centers by name on
Probably
podcast.
not.
Yeah.
But all your friends in the recovery centers?
Yeah, totally. Just
Absolutely.
people in the recovery community in Austin. Everyone there. And then shout out to my poor Honda Civic, who I'm finally going to take in for repairs.
Is it not running okay?
Finally. Oh, it's running fine. It's just ugly.
Oh.
It's just very ugly after... did I tell you about my rear-ending experience? I got rear-ended, and then 30 seconds later, I got rear-ended again.
Oh, no.
That's how it goes in Austin.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's on the access road. No fun. But...
She got rear-ended, car got totaled, and then we got rear-ended driving the new car home from the lot.
Ugh.
Yep.
The drivers here are just...
It's brutal.
Absolutely insane.
It's going to be what kills Austin. It's going to be the lack of infrastructure.
I don't get it. Like, I really don't understand why people, have to drive like that here.
I don't. I also don't understand why people move here so much. Not that I'm from here. I moved here because you're from California, I'm from New York. We compromised.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't because I thought Austin was super cool. I didn't really find out how cool Austin was till I got here. At first, I hated it. I was like, there's no museums. I'm from New York.
Yeah, I'm from Chicago as well.
There's no museums.
You got the Texas History Museum. That's actually a trip. It's pretty fun.
We'll have to go.
You should go. It's right downtown. It's really great.
Yeah, all right. You want to go to the Texas? I'm not going to the one up in Georgetown. There's a Georgetown museum. And back, I think, last year, they were having a gala in the traditional Southern... A traditional Southern gala.
My idea.
Segregated and all.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Wow.
Yeah.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
pretty nuts.
Yeah. So
That's crazy.
I will never be going into that museum unless every board member of that organization changes and they change directors. I'm not going anywhere near it. So it's like an anti-shout out.
There you go. Well, the one in Austin's great. Definitely watch the Star of Texas presentation thing. It's like one of those little... I can't describe. It's like you go into a theater and it's like the lights shine on different stuff, and points out different moments in Texas history. It's like really, really awesome. It made me feel proud to be a Texan, even though I'm definitely not a Texan. I was just like, oh, this state's pretty cool. I'm all right with that.
Hey, you got here as fast as you could.
I took my time.
Yeah. How about you, dear?
All right.
What do you have for shout-outs?
For shout-outs. First, I want to give a shout-out to Andre at HEB.
Andre at HEB.
He checked me out.
Literally? I mean, you're good
The
looking.
groceries. Checked my groceries. Right before the first podcast. And when I told him about the podcast, he was very, very excited for us. So.
I love that. We've had a lot of enthusiasm.
Yes. So,
31 subscribers in a week. I think we got 80 views on the last one.
Something
Last
like that,
time I
I think
looked.
is what you said. Yeah. So.
I'm really hoping one of these awful news stories goes viral and kicks that number up to a couple 100,000, like, without me knowing.
Okay.
But probably not. Andre at HEB.
Andre at HEB.
What's up, Andre?
So that's my first shout out. Second shout out is to all the women out there in the hard sciences.
In the hard sciences.
Yes.
What's a soft science before you go into hard sciences?
Soft sciences would be more like...
Music theory?
I'd say more like the social sciences.
Oh.
Those are
The
more
lesser sciences.
Those are more the soft sciences, where the hard sciences are more like physics, chemistry, biology.
So the soft sciences are all waiters, and the hard sciences.
There's
got
sociology
jobs.
teachers everywhere. Come on now.
I mean, the world needs English teachers.
Oh, Lord.
At least while we're an imperial society.
That's true.
Because, in order to succeed in the hard sciences as a woman, you end up dealing with a lot of sexism. And, not just in the workplace, but on the educational path to get there.
Okay.
And I, fortunately or unfortunately enough, really got my first taste of that this week. And realizing that if all of my teachers had been like that, I wouldn't be as far along as I am right now. So I want to give a shout out to all those women who just powered through that and got past it. Made it work for them instead of against them.
It's tough, right? Because there's a big generational divide.
Yes.
There's a lot of people still in the science, especially in academia, who come from the generation where single breadwinner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And maybe they were the liberal family, and she worked too, but that was about as liberal as they got.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I know that I will eventually be a Republican. Just by the nature of the way the world shifts, eventually I will become a crotchety old man and be like, no, $15 an hour minimum wage is enough. Like, right now I'm fighting. I'm in that fight, but one day we'll get there. You're right, though. It's tough, and you can't. How do you deal with that? Are you going to take action?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to the assistant department chair, who was one of my professors, and
Who was one of your professors? Okay.
yeah. So
And next week we'll check in and see how that goes.
yeah.
And if we get to the department chair and it still goes nowhere, and we want to name names, we'll name names.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the third shout out is to my dad. Tomorrow is his birthday.
Yeah.
So
Happy birthday, Chester.
Happy birthday.
This video will actually be coming out on his birthday.
Yes, it will.
Unfortunately, he's going to have to watch the whole video and me and John ramble to get to that. Yeah. But that was our gift to him.
Happy birthday, Dad.
Happy birthday, Chester. If you have a birthday that you'd like us to wish you a happy birthday, leave a comment. Ours come out on the podcast comes out every Sunday. I shoot them on Saturdays and they come out on Sunday. All right, what's next? Broad topic. Originally, the topic was going to be internet fame. And you were telling me you were MySpace famous at one point.
A tad, yes.
So do you want to talk about internet fame, or you want to talk about the history of punk rock?
We can talk about both, man.
She might murder me. I don't know when your hard stop is, but these will roll all day. Yeah, so internet fame. So tell me about your brush with internet fame.
I mean, basically, back when MySpace was first a thing,
This was before you could change the mouse icon to be glitter.
Oh no, you could still do that because
Okay.
that's all just like little HTML stuff you can put in there, like, or no, that's CSS. But yeah, you could still do that. But they had this thing. You had your friends list, right? And you had the top 8, and you used to not be able to sort them.
Okay.
Your top 8 was determined by when this person created their profile.
Yeah.
So, however old the profile is the higher they'll show in your friends list. And if you sort by friends, it's sorted basically by the date it was created, and there was no other way to sort it. So, I had one made for me. Probably, MySpace was pretty big, but
Okay.
it was probably, like, it was getting pretty big, but it was maybe like a year and a half before it really took off.
So you weren't there before it was cool, but you were there before it was popular.
I was there before it was popular.
Okay.
Just before. And I didn't touch it for a year, pretty much. Like, I kind of made it or whatever, and then I realized that, once I started getting into it, I was on the top 8 of pretty much all of my friends. And then if any one of them got a little bit of MySpace fame, usually the girls at my school or something like that would get famous because, they take all the pictures and stuff like that and get a whole bunch of friends trying to date them or whatever, like, from all across the country.
I noticed that on Instagram.
Yep.
The same phenomena seems to happen. It seems to be a good way to get attention.
And so when I, dyed my hair black and took, slightly androgynous photos in very tight clothes, I also got a little piece of that too. And so I had maybe 30,000 friends or something like that. Like, nothing ever really came of it. I probably, if I was smarter about it maybe, or if I really wanted to pursue it, I probably could have done more with it.
Sure.
And maybe made that translate over. But nothing really came of it. It died when Facebook came out, pretty much. And that started to get popular. And so, obviously I miss MySpace. It was fun. I had just really I put some like harsh noise as my automatic play song on my page, so as soon as you open it, just like nasty static. I had a lot of fun with it.
You troll the internet for fun, don't you?
Totally. I've been doing it ever since the beginning.
Yeah, I remember MySpace. I didn't get into it though.
That was my first internet addiction, man. Like, I remember like I remember I'd like go on I'd go to my, on vacation or something, and I'd come back and I was so excited to see if I got any comments or messages or something. It was really terrible, like, just how I needed to have that validation,
Right.
And that's all it was validation for me. Was just like, how big my friends were. I didn't even do anything outside of that. It didn't even get me laid, like, directly.
Really?
It was just, well, I mean, I was like 12 and 13 and stuff like that.
Oh, that's true, and it would have died out.
It died out when I was like 15, maybe.
Okay.
So, but it was just like the validation that, people notice me. And like, I was actually, that's also how I got kind of into the local music scene too, is a lot of that stuff was done through MySpace.
Right.
Is where we would, because venues would have their own MySpace pages, and you just friend them, and then you talk to them, and that's how we set up all our shows back in the day. It was through MySpace. And now we're here, and like, it's strange that it's been, 10, 12 years since we did any of that stuff, and so we just have no idea what's going on. But eventually we'll figure something out. And
yeah, that's the tough part, right? Like, I'm lucky in that, being a jazz musician, I get venues actually contact me.
yeah.
And I'm noticing they contact me in oblique ways. Oh, hello. They contact me in oblique ways. I get messaged through Facebook. I've been surprisingly doing a lot of booking through the Facebook Messenger. It's kind of an okay way to do it, because like, if you go to the Jazz Destroyers page and you message the Jazz Destroyers, I'm incentivized to respond to you quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I get a little badge that says responds quickly to messages. So please don't abuse that. And I think I drive people nuts, because like, I literally will start clicking the thumbs up button, like, I'm acknowledging what you said, and I have to respond. Thumbs up. So, at least with the page I do that. And I also, like, through the Reverb Nation, I got a message through Reverb Nation. It's pretty cool how oblique it is, but the whole getting on early is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because that's how I got internet famous too, was my videos on YouTube. Yeah, this channel is not my first channel. So when I was in college, we would do videos. Because Phil, who worked on Phil shot the intro outro sequence for the Heart by Andrea editions of the Freeform Fridays.
Okay.
And he was the only guy in our dorm that had a camera.
Mm-hmm.
And he had Final Cut.
Nice.
So it was like...
Back when it was good.
No, he had Final Cut Express. But it was brutal. It would be like, all right, we're going to let this render overnight.
Yep.
But, yeah, so we would make videos, and we did a couple of them. The one was literally we just stuck his camera on a tripod, pointed it at my wall that I'd covered in paper so I could write on the wall. And I just explained how a compressor works, and I mispronounced the word attenuate. Because when you learn words by books, you don't pronounce them correctly. Mm-hmm. So I explained the process on what a compressor is doing to your audio signal. And it got 100,000 views.
Yep.
Nobody ever booked a gig because of it. Right? Nobody... And the one where I explained how to take a little battery power amplifier and make it sound okay is also, it's got like 75,000 views. It was huge. But this was at a point when you couldn't link, there were no subscribers. There was no subscribing on YouTube back then. So even though it was getting big, I had no way of like continually reaching that audience. It was just by making content that they would search for. And then once the subscriber thing started happening, and I still have it on I still have like 80 subscribers on my personal YouTube. I don't upload there very often, so I don't imagine anybody seeing any of it. But yeah, I never got noticed. I never booked shows off of it. Where like at least you could parlay that into getting your way into a venue.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's almost better. Right, and then Greg and I, when we did Jesse Thunderwake, we had a couple of those go viral. We were doing daily videos, and a couple of them went viral. They were very funny, and it's so fleeting, and you just have brushes of it. So I've kind of taken this whole thing of like I just have to constantly, anything I make has to constantly promote what I'm really trying to make, which is good music. So that's why we do the podcast, and that's why we do our goofy news stories, because hopefully that'll go viral. But I always put a card in there like, hey, come watch the full episode and see what we're about. But the part that drove me nuts is Greg once got recognized from our Jesse Thunderwake videos. I've never been recognized. I'm a little jealous. I'm a lot jealous. It was just the way Greg would tell you the story is, hey, aren't you that guy from those videos online? So I'm pretty sure that if you were to walk around your whole life and just every new person you meet, you go, hey, aren't you that guy from the internet?
I'm sure
you would make somebody's day.
Or someone would like completely crap their pants and they're like, that's on the internet. Like you just see their eyes get all big. I'm sure, because I know there's probably some material that, you know, I've probably been on someone's, you know, cell phone camera somewhere doing something not very nice.
Oh, that's true, especially when you were...
Yeah, so like, oh, I saw you on the internet. I'm just like, oh, I hope not. Like, I hope it's nothing bad.
Well, my whole thing is, you know, if there's something on the internet that you're trying to bury, the way to bury it, you're never going to get it off the internet. The way to bury it is to put 10 hours of good content out there instead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So by doing this, you're actually suppressing that other video.
That's true.
And it's the best way to do it. You got to control your own message, right?
Yep.
So, but who cares? Ultimately, we're just trying to turn people on to the kind of music we're making. Yep. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of beat. We'll have you back on. Let's have you back on and do the history of punk rock.
Totes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do that in 2017, or maybe I'll bump one of the topics next week.
All right, for sure, man.
Or not next week, but you know, one of the future topics. I've got them planned out until about January. just broad topics. But the section 3 is interchangeable, so we can totally come in and do history of punk rock as well.
Mm-hmm.
So the last section is everybody gets a trophy. And I think I explained it to you. These come out on Fridays along with the Freeform Fridays videos. I try to publish them about the same time. So I think we should recognize each other in both sarcastic and sincere ways. And last week I was very sarcastic and you were very mad at me. Mm-hmm. But in this one, I will go with the least misandrist feminist I've ever met.
Thank you.
Would you like to give a speech?
No.
Did you see how I just talked over you right as you were about to talk? Mm-hmm. Yeah. See? Go ahead, give a speech.
It's in action.
I'm going to let you finish.
You're going to get this thrown at your head.
I know.
And it's going to hurt.
It will.
I would like to recognize John for being the most absolute honest addict I have ever met in my life.
That's
a pretty good one.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you. I definitely accept that.
That's a good one.
Most of us are a little deceptive at times.
I'm sure you had periods of that, especially when you were using
I mean, I still do in sobriety. I have to just catch myself on it,
Yeah.
When that stuff happens. Because, at the end of the day, that's still kind of my natural condition. I lived that way for so long. It's sometimes hard. You just find yourself just, like, lying just because you can.
Ooh.
And then, you're just like, why did I even do that? Like, what am I getting out of this? And
it'll never help you.
No, it never helps.
And it turns into like a self-sabotage thing because you're just like planting all of these little seeds everywhere that if ever you come back and circle around, you'll be found out. And then gives you another excuse to go use. Sorry.
All right. I need to think of a good award name for you.
Uh-oh.
Have people already commented on like the disco ball thing with the sweatshirt?
We got a comment about it. I did get somebody privately ask me what's the deal with the disco hoodie. Mm-hmm. So the disco hoodie is made by a company in San Francisco called Beta Brand, and the reason I don't shout them out is because they're a little bit of fat shamer bastards. Like, I'm a chubby dude, right? So I don't want to hear about you having this grotesque Santa thing out in your front window. Not cool, right? They cut everything real thin, but I like it. It's a nice garment. It's made in America. How many shirts? How many shirts or hoodies are made in America? Almost none. And they make them in San Francisco, where the minimum wage is like $10 an hour. Or what is it in San? Leave a comment.
Jesus, I don't even know
Leave a
anymore.
comment. Let me know what the minimum wage in San Francisco is. But so they're deeply flawed in that they're part of the fashion industry and fat shamers. Mm-hmm. But they make a nice garment, and I like it, and it's a reason to comment on it.
Yeah. Well, I will give you the award for most worker-conscious fashionista disco sweatshirt-wearing person that I've ever met, because most people, all the little mirror things on there were stuck on by 8-year-olds in Cambodia. So at least it was made in America. So good,
Thank you.
Good for you. Important in this election season.
Yes.
It is. And once again, I want to leave the disclaimer. I don't care how you vote. Just go vote.
Yes.
Just go vote.
Vote for Vermin Supreme.
Vermin Supreme is
a great candidate.
Everybody gets a pony.
Everyone gets a pony.
Right?
I'm totally all right with that.
If you're going to stay home, go vote for Vermin Supreme. Because it's nuts right now, and we're all feeling it on both sides. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure you should let yourself get to the point where you're ending friendships over politics.
Absolutely not. I'm still friends with all my friends.
I am too.
All our politics are completely different.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it pains me when I hear these stories.
Yeah.
So take a deep breath. That's why we do this podcast, is to give you a nice break from it. Yep. I failed at that this week. I will try to do better next week. But thanks for watching, and have a listen to the Jazz Destroyers Freeform Fridays. What came out this week? Let It Roll with MC Overlord. It's very
Yes.
good. I'll be sure to make that a card at the end of the video.